It's been a while, but we're back with a bang and another top guest. A little bit more about this guest. So having played for Man United for 4 seasons, he now finds himself at another huge club. I'm of course talking about Glasgow Rangers. So what has he learned in his short career so far? I'm glad to say I'm joined by none other than Mr. Charlie McCann. Pleasure to have you on.
Thanks for having me.
No worries at all. We've got a lot to get through, but we'll start off with how you've been, mate, and how you're finding the move to Rangers.
Yeah, it's been good so far. I think I've been up here about nearly 2 months now, and I'm just loving it. Settled in really well. Everyone's been good with me. Just getting a lot of help and stuff, and I'm just really enjoying it. Fresh start.
Yeah, definitely. But we'll get to Rangers in a little while. We'll start really at the beginning for you. And obviously you started off, I know I'm taking you back for quite a few years now, but you started off at Coventry City in your footballing career. So I know it was quite a long time ago and you were fairly young back then, but what sort of things did you learn that still stay with you now in a way?
I think when I was younger at Cov, kind of just having fun. And obviously you grow up loving football and stuff. So when I was there, I wouldn't take it too seriously as in it's like a job or anything like that. Kind of just go in, have fun. And I'd spend a lot of time there. Like when we was younger, we'd spend summer holidays. We'd be there pretty much every day and stuff. And you just learn to love it and stuff. But then I think if you love it enough, you want to improve all the time and stuff. And I think like the coaches when I was younger and stuff, they seen something, like there was something in me, and they helped me quite a lot when I was younger, and they pushed me quite a lot, and it made me want to improve a lot. And you just learn to love the game really when I was younger. It's just they made it more fun than anything.
Yeah, I've spoke to a couple of people about this, obviously in the footballing world, in terms of enjoying it. And obviously at a young age, really that obviously until a certain age, that's all that matters. So how important do you think it is to obviously, as you mentioned, you get older and things get a little bit more serious, but how important is it to still keep that sort of fun factor throughout your career?
I think it's massive. I think you've got to be able to find fun, even if it's really hard work, and get something out of it, even if it's like really hard. You've got to be able to find something in it that you get a bit of satisfaction out of and you get a bit of happiness out of. And I think once you get a bit older, it obviously gets a bit more serious, but the fun becomes a lot more enjoyable when you get older. Because I think it means, obviously, when you do stuff when you're older, it means a bit more. But obviously, I think enjoying it and having fun is just massive. You've got to enjoy it. You've got to love it to do it. You can't go in every day and not want to be there. You've got to go in every day looking for new challenges and enjoying it.
We'll go to I think it's fair to say a pretty massive turning point in your career. Correct me if I'm wrong, were you 15, 16 years old when this happened?
I think I was 15, yeah. So it would have been like in school years, I was just going into year 11.
Of course, I'm talking about you switched to Manchester United. And I mean, throughout players' careers, never mind at 15 years old, people who turn 25, 30 who are still in the game would dream of a move like that. But for you, it happened so quickly in terms of your football career. Please just take me through, obviously, the first moments you found out that they were even interested and take us from there, really.
Well, like you said, it happened quickly, but it happened quickly for me as well. I think that period of time, everything kind of picked up. So I was probably under 15s, under 14s and 15s playing like under 16s football at Coventry. And then I think in the under 15 season, we had quite a good team. And I was obviously a good player in that team and I was ripping it up most weeks in that team. And then there was obviously a lot of scouts and stuff, but you don't really look into much. You don't really think about it because at that time you don't have an agent and stuff, and you kind of just, if you like, I was doing really well, so I was just going in, loving it every day when I was going in, weren't really thinking about the bigger picture of things. And then I think it was the end of an under 15s season, going into 16s, and I got called up to England. Like I've been to 2 England camps before that, but then I'd actually got called up to play in games. So I went and played Scotland and Qatar up in Scotland and did well and scored in one of the games, and then come back and there was agents start ringing my dad all the time and stuff. And obviously we was all new to that. We didn't know what we was doing. So kind of had to wing it a bit, and we kind of thought we'll go with the one at the time we thought was the best option, and we did that. And then after that, I remember there was clubs always coming in and stuff, and those clubs trying to speak to my agent and people like that, but never really looked much into it. And then I remember I come home from a training session in like under 15, 16s, and my mum and dad just turned around to me and said, like, we've got to sit you down and stuff. And they just like told me that they was interested and they wanted me to go up and like speak to them and see what it was about and that. And obviously I grew up a Man United fan, so it was a no-brainer straight away. Do you know what I mean? I just thought, for me, it's the biggest club in the world. And then, so as soon as I heard that news, I knew that I was going there. Do you know what I mean? And then when I got there, obviously, it lived up to expectations, I think.
Yeah, I can only imagine. And very quickly, obviously, before we get into a little bit more about your playing time at United, in terms of the pressure, because as I said, you know, players of all ages would dream to come to Manchester United or any big club for that matter, but you'll see it firsthand. A lot of people, a lot of players, should I say, struggle with the pressure. It's a lot to take in, but then you factor in your age, it's tenfold in terms of so much to sort of process. So how was it like for you to sort of deal with that expectation? Would you say that you were a little bit too young to sort of really understand that, or did you still feel it?
Yeah,
would you say?
I think when you're that age and you like, I have a certain mindset and stuff. I think when you're that age, and me being me, you kind of just go in there, not cocky, but like, all right, you don't know who I am. I've come from Coventry. Do you know what I mean? I'll show you who I am. And that's kind of the attitude I went in with, because obviously a lot of the lads that were there had been there for 10 years or whatever. So I was going in there and they didn't probably know who I was. Do you know what I mean? Few of them knew, because obviously I'd played with them at England and stuff, but not many of them knew anything about me. So I went in there and just like had the attitude, right, I'm going to show you what I'm about. Do you know what I mean? And I think I went in there not expecting, probably when I was a first year scholar, I was like 16, and the year above me was quite strong. Like we had like Mason, Brandon, like Jimmy Garner and people like that. And I was looking at them thinking, well, I'm probably not going to play much football this year. Do you know what I mean? In that team. And like, surprisingly enough, like probably a couple games into season, I started playing and I started doing really well. And then I ended up playing pretty much most games that season. And I was like over the moon with it, do you know what I mean? Because I didn't expect going into the United at that age with that team to probably play. And I did. So it just showed to me, like, knew what I was capable of, do you know what I mean?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, do you know what it seems from an outside point of view? A little bit like everything has just happened so quickly for you.
Yeah.
It's just as I've said, it seemed like a lot to take in, but as I say, from an outside perspective, you seem like you took it in your stride. And you mentioned obviously the likes of Mason Greenwood, Brandon Williams that you've had experience playing with. So do you think, obviously, initially it was good for your development in terms of obviously playing with the older lads? I know it won't take too much for you to be the youngest one, considering the age that you were there, but would you say, that initial quick fire sort of experience to play with older lads help you where you are today?
Yeah, definitely. I think you're only going to get better if you're playing with better players and stuff. So I think that was obviously a big factor in why I probably left Coventry at that time, because even though I probably would have got massive opportunities at Coventry, and they did so much for me, you just get to a point where if you get an offer like that, you can't turn it down to go play with the best players in the country, do you know what I mean? And probably best players in Europe at that age group. So it's just massive opportunities to learn and develop. And I think me being in and around that day in, day out for what, 3.5, 4 years, massively developed me, do you know what I mean? The player I went into United at 15 and come out like a couple months ago, like massive changes, do you know what I mean? So they did develop me a lot, and I'm like really appreciate it of them, do you know what I mean?
It doesn't really stop there for you in terms of the journey that you're on. You've obviously gone from one huge club in Manchester United to join another huge club in Rangers, and obviously, look, you've already had the experience before Rangers, obviously with United in terms of playing for a big club. So from an outside point of view, it doesn't necessarily seem. Have we locked? There we go. Yeah, little notification. It's all good. It's all good. Don't worry. Yeah. So obviously, in terms of the attraction of a big club, you've already experienced that. So I wouldn't really think necessarily that would be the main attraction for you, because as I said, you've already experienced it. So what would you say then was the specific sort of motivation and the attraction for you to join Rangers?
I think again it was summer just gone, and it happened quite quickly as well there, because I had a year left on my contract at United, and I was probably could have went on loan from United, could have stayed, played 23s for another season, you never know. But I just thought I was at a point where I need a new challenge, you know what I mean? I need a new start and go somewhere and try to put my mark on it, do you know what I mean? And so there's obviously a few clubs and stuff, but then when Rangers came knocking, like my agent rang me and stuff, and we just both knew it was like a no-brainer straight away. And the stuff that they'd said to me and stuff, like the opportunities I could get if I do the work, like you can't really complain when you go from one of the biggest clubs in the world to another biggest club in Europe, do you know what I mean? So it was a no-brainer when I found out, and obviously I've started now, been here 2 months, and I've loved every minute of it so far. So I'm as far as I've come so far, I'm happy with what I've done, do you know what I mean? So hopefully can only get better.
Yeah, definitely. And I was scrolling through Twitter. Obviously, we've been in contact for about a week or so, trying to find the right date to sort of get this podcast sorted. And just coincidentally, I was scrolling through my Twitter and I seen a Rangers fan. I think it was just a picture of you in training, maybe, and it literally just said it's only a matter of time before this kid jumps into the first team. And for obviously, in terms of the football, you've got a lot of motivation there. Clearly, you're playing with some incredible talent, coaching staff, the lot really. But how does it feel knowing that you've got the full support of the fans, even at this early stage in your career?
I think it's obviously a big thing. And I think when I came up here, obviously I knew how big Rangers was. It's a massive, massive club. But in comparison to United, you probably think, but it's not as big. But when you come up here, because it's all they know up here, it's huge. Like it's crazy. It's honestly crazy. Like I didn't expect it to be as mad as it was. Like the fan base is like unreal. The stadium's class. Like it's just a great club. Do you know what I mean? So if you can get the fans on side, then you can't ask for much more. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, definitely. I think you're certainly in good stead to keep the fans happy. So there we go. Look at this. Welcome to showbiz. There you go. All good. So obviously looking ahead into the future then with Rangers, and then maybe even beyond that, what would you say are the future goals and aspirations for you? Are you the type of person just to sort of think short term, or do you keep them long-term goals in mind as well?
I think obviously long term, it's hard to put a finger on because you never know what's going to happen. But I think definitely short term, I have goals. I set myself quite high targets, you know what I mean? Because I'm quite ambitious. So obviously, I want to be in the first team. I want to get to the first team. So I've got to do everything that I can to get there, do you know what I mean? So hopefully soon I can get there and make a mark there.
I know, obviously, considering, you know, you've only had a short career in football so far, but what would you say sort of are the valuable lessons you've learned from football that you've took into your own life? Now, I can understand, you know, when you're in an industry like football or like sport, it can consume your life, but what would you say sort of have been the things that you've learned that you have adapted to your life from playing football?
I think a massive part about being in and around a training ground every day, obviously you're mixing with, probably depending on the size of the team and stuff, but you're probably mixing with at least 20 to 25 players a day, depending on where you are, and the staff probably the same number again, do you know what I mean? And then all the backroom stuff as well. So I think being in and around the training ground every day, like Coventry United and now Rangers, clubs like that, they have standards and they have like morals, do you know what I mean? So I think like being in football, it teaches you a lot of standards and a lot of morals and how to treat people and how to like respect people. I think it's massive because it doesn't just stretch as far as football, it stretches outside, do you know what I mean? Like a random person can come up and speak to you about football, and because you've got them like that stuff set in place already from what you've learned, I think it helps you massively, do you know what I mean? And I think it matures people quite a lot as well. But I think a lot of young lads in football are quite mature for their age, and some might get stick for it. But I think if you know them personally, they're very mature and have to deal with things that no other lads that age have to deal with, do you know what I mean? So I think it does set you in good stead, being in and around that environment every day.
Yeah, most certainly. So you mentioned a little bit about obviously footballers there, and you know, you've experienced, as we've touched on today, a lot of things that people would dream of. So if we could say you could have a bit of advice for, we could say your younger self, or maybe just people who are still chasing their dream and would love to get to the position that you're in today, what would you say are the valuable lessons that you would recommend to pass on?
I just think you've got to work as hard as you can, and if it's something you want to do, put everything into it, because you don't look back in 5-10 years and think, well, what if I did that extra 20 minutes a day? What if I did anything? Do you know what I mean? I think if you put everything into it and you get what you put into it, do you know what I mean? So if you put everything into it and you don't get where you want to be, at least you can look back and say, well, I did everything I could, do you know what I mean? And then if you get everything you wanted, then you go again and you get your rewards for what you put in, do you know what I mean? So I think the main message would just be put all you've got into what you want to do. And if that's what you want to do and you do it, then you give yourself the best chance, do you know what I mean?
Yeah, most definitely. And you said a little bit there about if you could have one message. I know there's going to be, and I definitely know you know as well, there's going to be a lot of Rangers fans watching this. So the floor is yours, Charlie. Take it away. If you could just give one lasting message to the Rangers fans that are watching this anywhere in the world where they may be, what can they expect of you for the coming years?
I think they can expect someone who's got personality on the pitch. I think they can expect someone who's got a lot of confidence in the way they play. I think I'm confident. I'll take the ball wherever, and I'll try to do special things when I have the ball. And then I think the minimum they can expect from me is hard work, because that is the minimum. So I think that's pretty much what I've got to say at the minute. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, definitely. And I think you're the type of person to, despite your confidence, let your football do the talking, mate. I would say good luck for the rest of the season, but I know you don't need it, mate. You'll be more than sound in your career and the seasons to come. So thanks again, mate. I do really appreciate it.
No, thanks for having me. Appreciate it. And good to speak to you.
As always, mate, no worries. Well, unfortunately, that's all we've got time for, as I say. Please be sure to like, subscribe, and follow on all the social media accounts for more content by The Content. Thanks again to Charlie, and thanks again to everyone who's listened to today's podcast. See you again soon.